Hey everyone and welcome to our channel. This video is all about discussion. Most authors find discussing the results to be the most difficult part of the paper to write. When referees reject a paper, it's very often due to poorly written discussion. How should I structure the discussion? The discussion should answer the following questions and possibly in the following order. You can thus use the answers to structure your discussion. Number 1. Do my data support what I set out to demonstrate at the beginning of the paper? Number 2. How do my findings compare with what others have found? How consistent are they? Number 3. What is my personal interpretations of my findings? Number 4. What other possible interpretations are there? Number 5. What are the limitations of my study? What other factors could have influenced my findings? Have I reported everything that could make my findings invalid? Number 6. Do any of the interpretations reveal a possible flaw, that's to say, defect, error in my experience? Number 7. Do my interpretations contribute some new understanding of the problem that I have investigated? In which case do they suggest a shortcoming in or advance on the work of others? Number 8. What external validity do my findings have? How could my findings be generalized to other areas? Number 9. What possible implications or applications do my findings have? What support can I give for such implications? And number 10. What further research would be needed to explain the issues raised by my findings? Will I do this research myself, or do I want to throw it open to the community? How should I begin the discussion? Below are 4 possible beginnings for the same paper. Number 1. Reminds readers of your goals, preferably in a single sentence. For example, one of the main goals of this experiment was to attempt to find a way to predict who shows more task persistence. Number 2. Refer back to the questions, hypotheses, predictions, etc. that you pose in your introduction. For instance, this result both negates and supports some of the hypotheses. It was predicted that greater perfectionism scores would result in greater task persistence, but this turned out not to be the case. Number 3. Refer back papers you cited in your review of the literature. For instance, previous studies conflict with the data presented in the result. It was more common for any type of feedback to impact participants than no feedback. Number 4. Briefly state the most important points from your results. For instance, while not all the results were significant, the overall direction of results show trends that could be helpful to learning about who is more likely to persist and what could influence persistence. How should I compare my work with that of others? A good structure for doing this is: Number 1. Make a general statement regarding your findings. Number 2. Mention another author's work that relates directly to your findings. Number 3. Make a link between her or his work and your work. Number 4. Clearly state how your work differs from his or her work. And number 5. State the conclusions that can be drawn from your result in the light of these considerations. How should I end the discussion if I do have a conclusion section? A. Tell your readers if and how your findings could be extended to other areas, but you must provide evidence of this. B. Suggest ways that your hypothesis, model, device, etc. could be improved on. C. Say if and or why you ignore some specific areas. D. Admit what you haven't been able to do and as a consequence cannot provide conclusions on. E. Reiterate your reasons for choosing your topic of investigations in order to convince your readers of the validity of what you have said in the discussion. How can I bring a little excitement to my discussion? One way to add some passion to your writing is the very occasional use of emotive adjectives and nouns. The adjectives can be qualitative, like convincing, exciting, undeniable, or quantitative, like huge, massive. Typical powerful nouns that suggest a major step forward are breakthrough, advanced, leap. These adjectives and nouns can also be used in combinations, for example, substantial, insight, massive, advance. How can I use seems and appears to admit that I haven't investigated all possible cases? It's crucial to be totally honest and non-misleading as to the status of results. For example, it appears that stochastic processes for which x equals y can produce finite dimension values. It seems that some natural hypothesis can be formulated as: how should I discuss the limitations of my research? It's essential that you inform readers of any limitations to your research or any failures or contradicting data. There is no need to consider this aspect of your research to be totally negative. Your readers will appreciate learning about what went wrong, as this may help them with their own research. However, when you discuss any limitations and failures, try to do so in a positive way, not like the first example below. The first example, the limitation of this paper is that the two surveys were not conducted in the same period. This will affect our results in terms of: this example is extremely honest, but could be expressed in a way that sounds less negative. For example, although the two surveys were not conducted in the same period, this will only affect our results in the terms of. Thank you for watching this video and stay connected with this channel.